Hello and welcome to Rediscovering Childhood, a podcast that brings you lots of practical information to help you become a more conscious parent. This podcast is brought to you by Discovery Playtime, an Irish business that provides high-quality educational and sensory toys to help your children develop skills through play. Visit discoveryplaytime.ie or download the app to get inspired. Hello, Shannon.
Hi, Mireia.
Can you believe we're on season 2?
I know.
It only hit me now, actually.
Yeah.
Which is like, let's keep going. No.
No.
Season 2.
We literally created this on the N7 on the way back from Recreate. We were like, I'd love to start a podcast. We're
And then
here.
next day, Shannon, I booked a podcast studio.
What? We're recording on Friday. Be prepared.
Lucky we already know all these things.
Like, how crazy is that?
I know. And I hope you're all listening and enjoying as much as we are.
Oh, I love being here.
If you have any questions or any topics you'd like us to discuss, please get in touch through our social media or email, info. Actually, no, I'll give you through
the Rediscovering Childhood Instagram is where we're going to go.
Bookings at discoveryplaytime.ie. Sorry, Shannon.
You're not, though. Not even a little bit.
Sorry, not sorry. How are you today?
Oh my God. I'm in a bit of disbelief, to be honest.
Oh.
Bit of disbelief. Being here for one, but also I feel like the last few weeks is just so tough on everybody.
Yeah.
Really, really tough on everyone.
It's been a very hard back to school beginning of the term, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a very tough summer. I found everyone was just like, okay, we're ready for a routine. And now that the routine is back, we're like, no, we're not ready.
It all just came too hard, too fast. No.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Too hard, too fast. And I find from my own personal experience as well that, there's no need for that. Like, they're not trying to be going to the army. It's not an army, they're just kids. They're in school. They need to play. They need to explore. They need to learn. They need to want to learn to go there.
Yeah. And what is it now? The 20th of September, and homework has already started, I believe.
I know. They must be going so behind everything that they have to bring homework home.
My goodness, they're behind on page 10. We have to get till at least page 20 now.
Why does page 10 exist? Imagine a school. Okay, now let's imagine this.
Oh yes, I'm so excited.
Okay, imagine a school.
Yeah.
We call it school, but like it could be anything. A building.
Yeah.
That has classrooms.
Okay.
It has tables, but the tables are all around the sides of the classroom of the walls. They're not in the middle. There are chairs, but they're all stacked on the sides as well. So kids come in and they have a choice of going to the table and sitting on a chair, or they can sit on the floor, or they can grab a pillow, they can read a book, they can do Play-Doh, they can do anything they want.
Whoa.
That just by doing that, coming into the classroom, imagine the difference. Okay, imagine the difference. Just walking in, knowing you can do it. You have the freedom to decide what you want to do. And you know what? Kids, humans, especially children, they're wired to learn. They're wired to wanting to learn, to know how things work. Why is this? Why? Every child goes through this phase because it is a natural development. They're going to want to know all of the answers. So there's no way that by us providing that freedom, they're not going to take it. And they're going to use it in a very bad way. They're going to run away and never come back. That's not going to happen.
Absolutely not, no.
They're going to use it to actually, okay, so what do I want to do? What do I want to learn about? What's exciting to me? Let's learn about it. Let's research. Let's explore. Let's combine things. Let's do science. Let's do this. And let's teach everybody how much I've learned. And let's feel proud about my own learning. How amazing would that be?
That would be really nice. When you described that, I was literally like, okay, so we're walking in. I was like, first of all, it's up to ourselves to walk into this classroom. We have to be independent to get in here. Then first of all, we have to make the choice. Do I feel like standing today? Do I feel like sitting today? What do I feel like? And then I get to walk around this classroom and I get to see what's on offer.
Yeah.
And I get to know that I can do every single thing in this classroom if I want, or I can be over there and I can play with the Play-Doh.
But you're learning no matter what.
Yeah. There's so many things going on in that brain just by the first 10 minutes of that day.
Yeah. And see the curriculum The contents of the curriculum don't come from some alien that came into this world and decided that kids should learn that. It comes from children. It comes from adults who have been children and have studied children, and they know that these are the contents that children are going to want to learn anyway, and these are the contents that we need to know in order to become independent adults. But it comes from what children need to learn, and that's why homeschool kids and all, they'll still do the same contents without the pressure, because they don't have to do it, but it'll come up anyway. And also, they don't have to follow through in this order, in this particular order, with these particular activities. But it's going to come up because it all comes from the nature of the child, from wanting to learn and know things. So it's going to come up anyway, regardless. Why do they have to learn in a way that's convenient for me? Or that's easier for me because I just open a book and do this and do that, and then we correct, we make sure all the answers are correct, and that's it. Why do they have to do it my way? What if they want to learn about the farm? No, we're learning about space. It doesn't matter what you're interested in. It doesn't matter if you just come from the ploughing championships and you want to share your experience with the classroom. We're learning about space, which means absolutely nothing for anyone in this classroom, but it doesn't matter because we have to do this.
Yep.
Why? We don't question why we do what we do the way we do it. We just do it because it's always been that way. But it doesn't mean it's working.
Absolutely not. No.
I learned English in school for 8 years. In primary school, kitchen. I didn't learn very well.
In the kitchen, I learned English.
But I learned in primary school, I come from Barcelona, and in Spain we learn English the same as Irish here in the average, not in the Irish school, but in any other school you do your 3 hours of Irish a week or whatever amount of hours. And so I did English in all primary school, so that's 6 years, and then all secondary school, that's 6 more years. So I didn't do maths. That's not 8, that's 12. That's even worse, because when I came to Ireland, I couldn't speak a word. Because I knew the colours, I knew the past tense, I knew the future tense or whatever. I knew all the verbs and me, you, I, you, he, she, it, all these things. But put it together in a conversation, I couldn't have a conversation. I couldn't put a sentence together.
Yeah.
And yes, I passed my test just about. My teacher probably thought she was doing a great job the way she was teaching, because she always done it that way. Did it work? No, it didn't. It didn't. None of my friends in the classroom, unless they really, I have a friend that was doing a project, and then he moved to Germany, and then he could speak English, but he could also speak Arabic. And French, and he was really good at languages, so that was an exception. But most of us, we couldn't speak the language.
No.
So just because you do something one way doesn't mean it works.
Yeah.
And that's what inclusion is also all about. It's about opening your methodologies and being more open to, you learn one way, he learns another way, so let's mix it together. And you don't have to learn the same way he learns. He might be a visual learner, and he might be learning by talking to other people and explaining what he's saying. And then another person will be really good at building things. And then another one will be super good at sports and running and moving really fast. And by combining all of these things together, it's just so rich, because then we challenge each other and we learn from each other. And then you can feel so proud of how good you are. And not just because you're bad at maths, it means you're bad at everything. Or you're not following through to the way I'm teaching you, doesn't mean you're stupid. And that's what our system makes children think. Our system, because it has to be the exact same thing for everybody, regardless of your needs and your interest and what you're good or bad at, or what you think you're good or bad at, or your experiences, your situations at home, your well-being, your emotional well-being, everything. It doesn't matter. You still have to do the page 10 of math book. And that's not fair.
Yeah, I think our school system grew very, very quickly. And the only way that they could contain and understand what to do is they went from obviously having a group of very small children to then having a group of 30 kids. And they're like, okay, how can we get this done that I only have to do this once? I don't have to do this 30 times. And then that's when I feel like blackboards were invented. Yeah. And they were like, look, I'm going to put this up on the blackboard. You're going to read it off the blackboard, and you're going to know what I want you to do then because of that. But that's not how this works.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, you're an adult, because it's easier to, obviously when you're an adult listening to this thing, to go back to these things. You don't do really anything on your own. It's really nice to do things when you're with a group. If you're really struggling with an idea and you have this thing, you're like, oh, I really need to go and solve this one problem. And you're like, I'm really stuck. I don't know what to do. You're going to walk, you're going to call somebody, you're going to walk to somebody, you're going to talk to a mirror, because you need that interaction of even getting it out into the open will make your brain think. You'll be able to solve that problem so much quicker. Like, we're such social beings, and why does it have to be a situation of, okay, I was asked this question, so I need to know the answer on my own. I can't ask my friend beside me because that means that she knows and I don't.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the way. Maybe she gives me another idea, and by her saying, oh, it's yellow, I'm like, is that yellow though? That kind of looks orange to me. And it starts that conversation, like, why do you see yellow? What is it that makes that yellow? Like, it's that social aspect of it that brings other people together as well. And then one brain can only do so much on its own. Why make it one person on their own when you can make an army of people that can be so confident and be like, okay, I'm not entirely sure how to do that. Yeah. And someone's like, oh my God, that's my favorite thing ever. I can go do that really, really quickly now. Come with me. I'll show you.
Yeah. And guilt-free, because we feel so guilty when we ask for help and we admit that we don't know how to do this or that. It's like, no, I can do it. I can do it. But how much easier it would be if we could actually ask for help guilt-free without being judged.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where it starts, just by showing them that they can ask for help and they can learn from each other, and it's okay. They don't have to be able to do everything on their own. Yeah, so powerful. But yeah, it's just the whole idea of like school. We spent how many years in school? So many years.
A lot.
Like,
so many years.
6, 7, 8... at least 12. Loads of years. And so we have to be there. So why not making it a fun place? It absolutely kills me every time I hear a child saying, I hate school. School is boring. Of course it's going to happen because of those things that we discussed before about being bored, and they have to think and they have to come up with their own ideas and all. You know, like if they could just watch YouTube all day, that's easy. Yeah. They don't have to think. So it'd be like, oh yeah, that's so fun. But in the long term, they'd absolutely hate that. No one likes that. You know, you need something that, in order for a human to be fulfilled, you need something that challenges you. And you have that reward, that constant reward and intrinsic motivation where you feel like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. And then you feel so good and you share it with the world. And, you know, like it, and that's hard, but it's also really rewarding. And that's what school should promote as well. But like having these things where you either get it right or wrong. And if you get it wrong means you're not good enough. It's not that direct, but it is the message that children get. And I've heard that a lot. Children saying, I'm not smart, I'm not good enough, I don't want to go to school because I'll be put in the orange section. And that's another thing, you know. And I know, don't get me wrong, like being a teacher is one of the hardest jobs in the world when you're committed to your children. You know, if you just go and leave and you don't care what happens next, and if their children, if the children are really learning and they're having, and do you really want to meet their emotional needs and all of that, then it's not that complicated because you have page 10 of the math book. But if you really care and you're committed to these children really having a positive experience, I think honestly that's one of the hardest jobs in this world. And there are no words to say how much I admire every single one of these teachers because they make a huge impact and difference on every single child and future generations and the whole world. So from the bottom of my heart, if you're committed and you really care, thank you.
Yeah. And those are the teachers you remember as well from school.
Absolutely.
Are the ones that put in that time. I remember one of my second class teachers used to always bring in her guitar, and she used to just play music with her guitar. I don't remember any other teacher really. I remember one teacher actually, she made me stand up on the board because I think it was like junior or senior infants, and we had to get our vaccinations done. So we had to leave, we had to go into the hall, get our vaccinations done. And you know, when nurses are giving you vaccinations, it's like, okay, I'm going to count to 3 and then I'm going to do it, but they're actually going to do it before 3. I was blown away by this. I thought this was the most genius thing that ever happened. I loved it. So then I got my little fried egg jelly and I was strutting back to class and I was like, I'm so excited to tell everybody this. They're going to find this so funny. I walked into the classroom and I went, oh my God, you'll never guess. She told me to count to 3. And before I even got the rest of the words out, I looked and everyone was sitting really, really quietly. And my teacher went, Shannon, stand at the board. And then at that moment I was like, oh, my arm's really sore now because all the excitement had just gone away. But I had to stand facing the blackboard with my back to all my class.
No.
That were doing this quiet activity because everyone was going in and out disturbing for the vaccinations. And obviously for her, it was really, really hard to control. I'm doing air quotes right now. To control all of us. So we had to do, I think it was like a colouring activity. But we had to be quiet to do it. And I was there standing at the board and I was like, oh, my arm really hurts now. And I remember it all so clearly because I was just so excited to tell them that she put the needle in and my vaccination was done before I counted to 3.
And why do you think she had to have that much control, that she wouldn't be flexible enough to know that by allowing you to get excited and share that with your classroom, you could all learn so much more in so many other ways that you wouldn't get out of colouring a page?
Yeah, I think... I don't know exactly when in the year this happened, whether it was like towards the start or the end of the year. But I think it was, you know, at the start, I feel like some teachers are like, I need to be really mean for the first few months.
Yeah.
And if I'm really mean, they're going to listen to me. And whatever I say, they're going to take what I say and that's going to be it. But
that's taken to an extreme, isn't it?
It really is. But I just
do
remember,
agree about that a little bit. Like it has to be, you know, if you're not their friend, you're their teacher.
Yeah.
But that's a bit extreme now.
I boundaries 100%. There are always limits, there's always boundaries. You have to say no at some point. We can't give children absolutely everything. If I'd say I was probably like the 20th child who came in screaming and shouting after having the vaccination. Don't get me wrong. How annoying when it's the end of the day, you haven't finished this colouring picture that we all need to do by the end of the day. I'm sure it's so stressful. But if I'm the 20th person coming in screaming and shouting about this, there's a reason. Everyone is going through these motions where we're just after getting a needle jabbed into our arm. Like, this is a really scary thing, but my mom's not there. My mom isn't the one who brought me here. I'm doing this in school.
Yeah.
But all these strangers around me.
Yeah.
And it was obviously like, it was so, I'm going to say traumatic because I still remember, obviously. But obviously, it stuck with me all of this time. But if she had it that in this time, she knew that we're going to get our vaccinations. Why couldn't we have all just had Play-Doh out there? Why couldn't we have done some science activity that was all big and bubbly and we're doing things?
Prediction and expectation. You predict, okay, they're going to get their vaccines, they're going to get excited. It's good. It's something really unusual and really, it's such a big deal for a child and for an adult as well. And they're going to want to share, and we need to maybe do some role play before and see what to expect so they know, and then allow them exactly to come in and do Play-Doh and do things that they can get this out of their system, because they have to.
Yeah. And I'm sure I was one of this other ones. There was other people who probably came back crying. They were so scared that they like, that's not a really positive experience to go through. And then they had to come in and sit in silence and colour this picture instead. Whereas they could have came in, they could have sat in a group, they could have talked to their friends about it. They could have been like, but I was really, really scared. And their friends could be like, yeah, I was a bit scared too, but it's okay. We're okay now. You're okay
each
now.
Other and make friends.
Yeah. And I think we kind of forget that children do have that innate empathy in them too, that you don't always have to like go over and say sorry.
Yeah.
That means nothing to them. It means absolutely nothing to them. If I went out of my way to hurt somebody, there's something behind that issue. I need to go and I need to check if they're okay.
Yeah.
If I'm after hurting you, if I just go, sorry, and I walk away, what does that do? Does that make you feel better? No. If I go over and I'm like, are you okay? You go, no, you hurt me. I'm like, oh, you really frustrated me though. You said you wouldn't let me play. You wouldn't let me play those blocks and I was trying to build a tower. And then you're going to understand where I came from. I'm going to realise that by me hurting you, you're never going to want to play with me again. Why would you come over and build blocks with me if I'm going over and hitting you with them? No. But it's going to teach me more about learning how, okay, if I turned around to you and be like, no, I can't play with you right now. I'm building this thing. And when I'm finished building this thing, I'm going to come back to you. And we can play with it together if that's okay. Like, they have that part of empathy in them that they want to be okay with people. They want people to like them too. And they want to have that connection to be like, I don't like that right now, but I might like it in a while. Is that okay?
Yeah. And having those more playful experiences in the classroom really build the social skills. And if they have that sense of belonging to the classroom and with their friends and everyone that's there, learning is going to be a lot easier. And then all the ways of controlling their behaviour, like the traffic light system and behavioural charts and all, like, that has to go away. That is absolutely horrible. And, you know, they're two different things. If we're doing circle time and a child starts talking, no, we don't have to allow that. Like, it's circle time. We need to listen to each other. We need to learn to each other. We need to learn how to take turns, wait for each other, respect each other, listen to each other. So that takes practice as well. But not because someone is talking means they're a bad person and they need to know to go into the orange or the red zone of a traffic light. If anyone doesn't know what a traffic light behavioral system is in the classroom,
it's stupid.
Yeah. It is a color graphic on the wall, and it has green on top, orange in the middle, and red at the bottom. And you have all the kids' names placed on the green. Every time they behave badly, quotations, what's disrupting what we're doing. Yeah. So it's convenient for the teacher, not for the child. Again, it's just for the teacher. We move them to the orange, and if it's even worse, then they go to the red. And I don't know what happens in the red. They probably talk to the parents or something.
It depends from school to school sometimes. I think sometimes if they go to red, then they're on a warning that they can come back up. But if by the end of the week, if they don't come off red, then something like that, they will have a meeting with the parents or a meeting with the principal or like the head supervisor or something.
And if they stay in the orange, then they just stay in the orange. And
you
then
just keep moving.
Yeah. And then if you stay in the green, then sometimes they just stay in the green, and sometimes some schools give points, dojo points or something like that. And then they can exchange them for a prize or for Netflix time, which is great to be watching Netflix in a school as part of your reward for being a good child and never talking at all.
And not having an opinion or having a brain or thinking about anything.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, so this is what a traffic light system is. See, what happens is there's so many negative effects to this. The first one is shaming individual children in front of the whole classroom. If a child is struggling to make friends and he tries to get attention by hitting them, for example, we move them to the orange or the red. If the problem here is that he's struggling to make friends and we're moving them to another color, everybody else is going to see how bad they are. Who's going to want to be their friend? We're not helping them. We're making it worse.
They're physically isolating them up on the board in front of everybody.
Yeah, and they already don't have friends. They don't have the skills to make friends, but why they don't have the skills, that's another thing. That's another story. But we're also showing everyone that it's okay not to be a friend of this person because they're bad. Like, how awful is that?
They're on the red.
Like, imagine you go to work and then you don't answer a call because you're, doing whatever. And they put you on a chart on red or orange and everybody can see that you're so bad at working. It's terrible for your self-esteem and your confidence, and it's terrible. And then another thing is if they move to the orange and then they try so hard, and I've heard that as well. I've tried so hard to be good. I've tried so hard. And the teacher, because there are so many kids in the classroom, forgets to bring that child back to the green. That child's not going to understand. I've tried so hard and I'm still in the orange. Yep. So why would I bother? I might as well have fun and join the chaos and just go crazy because I'm in the orange anyway. It doesn't matter if I'm good or bad or don't talk or I talk or I'm in the orange anyway. So I can start messing and do whatever I want. I'm in the orange anyway.
Yeah.
And then another thing is kids who are, kids that stand out in any sort of way. They don't put their hand up to talk, but they get their answers right and they listen and, they're always there kind of doing their own thing, but you don't even notice that they're there kind of thing. These kids know that you're not noticing them because if you're, for example, giving points as a reward for being good, because they're always good. But average good, not like sober good that they're always putting their hands up and shouting their right answers and helping everybody. No, they're just there. These kids will never get points and they know you're not noticing them. And that's destroying their self-esteem.
Why do they need to be there if you don't know they're there?
Yeah.
Why should they bother?
So I just don't understand. If we're doing circle time, a child is talking, ask them, what are you talking about? And have systems. If it's something that's really keeps interrupting, have a chat at the end of the day. Have a chat with the parents. They need to know as well. And then you can work together from school and from home to help this child keep their thoughts and maybe find a system where they can draw a picture. So this child can have a paper on the table and draw a picture of anything that comes through his head or her head. I need to be doing something. Even if I'm listening to a podcast, I'm very fidgety. So I'm always doing something, and I get my nails painted because otherwise I totally destroy them, biting them. So some people just need that. So why not providing these resources? So if I need to talk about, I joined a new after school activity in doing football, and I'm sharing that with my friend who is also going there. Maybe let them, you draw a football here, and then we can talk about it another time. And then schedule time to talk about their needs and what's interesting for the children.
Yeah. I think that's a really good idea, to park the idea. Like, it doesn't have to happen right now. I know we're all here being like, play in the classroom and stuff like that. We understand there has to be a certain amount of teacher-directed time and children-directed time. But I know when you have a really good idea, sometimes you're like, if I don't say now, I'm going to forget about it. So why can't you have, like, say, sticky notes on the table? Every idea you have, you put on your sticky notes, and you keep those sticky notes there. So at the end of the day, like you said, or if you have discussion time, then you can go and you can talk about these things like, oh, I had this really good idea. Look at what I wrote down here.
Yeah. And again, like, they're writing. So it's not that meaningless copy and paste tricky words and things like that. That it just means nothing. And I've proved that because we used to do these as homework with the kids at home. And, it's just copy and paste. Like, they're not learning anything. It's just the shape of the word and the writing it. Then they've copied these words 500 times. Then we read a book. These words come up. They can't read them. There's proof. They're not learning. It's not teaching. Again, why do we do what we do the way we do it? We can't have homework planned before we even meet the kids, before the school starts. We can't have homework that we've been doing for the last 10 years, the exact same, every day of the year, every week of the year, regardless the kids we have in the classroom, their needs. Everything has changed. Like, I see homework now that was probably the same homework 10 years ago, or whenever computers didn't even exist. We didn't even have all this information available, or before COVID, when our social skills would be way better than they are now.
Yeah.
So all these things, if the society is changing, the school is the first place that should change before anything else. Because if we're learning from the world to learn how to be in this world, why are we teaching them to be in a world that doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. If we're using these traffic lights, okay, maybe use them in a way that, as you mentioned that you've used them before, like have the red could mean that it's quiet time and we're doing like circle time. So we need to take turns, or we're doing some individual whatever work and we have to wait and we have to take turns, but it's quiet time. So the traffic light is on the red. So it's telling everybody now it's quiet time. So it's a way of learning that we have to wait and we have to learn to develop patience and, focus on ourselves and whatever is happening. And then the orange means we can talk, we can whisper, we can talk quietly. And then the green means we can chat with each other, no problem. So by doing that, they can see that if we tell them, no, you can't share that now, time is a very abstract concept for children. So they don't know when they're going to be able to share that. And they really need to share that.
No.
They really have that need right now. But if they see that color traffic lights, if we really want to use that system or any other system to show them that it's a period of time or a timer or something, and say, okay, you can't do this now, but look, you can see here with your eyes, not just with your imagination, because time could be, you can do it in 1 hour. Okay, how long is 1 hour? I don't know. But if you can see it here with your eyes, then it's so much easier that they'll be able to wait. And then you have that system in place that if they really, really need to share something, they can write it down or draw a picture so they won't forget it. So they park it aside. And then when the time goes on green, then that's their time for sharing that.
Yeah. And it also makes them feel important too. Like by you turning around to them and being like, I'm actually not listening to you right now. Why? Why is their idea not good enough? Like what is it that about my idea? You just listened to Josie. Josie had a really good idea and you told her she had a really good idea. What about my idea?
Yeah.
Why is my idea not good enough? You haven't even heard it yet.
And that's inclusion. We don't need to have one activity for each child. We just need to allow that space for each child to do what they need to do. And
to find their space, to find where they need to be.
Yeah, exactly. So if you really want to teach them maths, your goal is for them to know that 2 + 2 makes 4 and 4 + 4 makes 8 and all of these things. Just see, they might talk again. A child went to the ploughing championships and came back to the farm. Okay, how far was it? Did you have to drive for a long time? Okay, write down the time and then set blocks of times, and you have your timing and then okay, so how many how many things did you see? And then count them and then try to draw pictures. Okay, let's create patterns with these things. And okay, there was tens and where was everybody? That's all the maths. How many people did we see? Create a role play scene. And then that person can show everybody and everyone will be fascinated by these things that this person saw. And this person, if you do it with the maths book, maybe that person is not good, and again, quotations, at maths. But by doing it this way, he's actually going to go home like, oh, it was so good today. I was able to tell everybody what I did. He'll feel so proud and he's going to love maths. The whole experience is going to be so different.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be your way. That's the thing.
And that
child doesn't have to be.
Yeah, that child's going to have so much confidence in themselves because they're going to go home and as soon as whoever picks them up from school is, they're going to tell them.
Absolutely.
They're going to be like, my idea was what we learned today. And we did all of these things and the teacher asked me questions.
Yeah, and then the others are going to tell their parents as well. Oh, look, guess what Luke did today, or where he went yesterday. And it's so much learning, and you can extend that to geography. Okay, what other things? So they do the Balmoral show in Belfast, and they do and then geography, and see what the map of Ireland, and then the Europe and the world, and and extend like, okay, so how do they do farming in very cold countries? Because they can't do that. I wonder what they do, and do some research. Maybe write an email to a school in, I don't know, Finland, and see what they do and what language they speak. And you can extend it so much. And it's just amazing how much they can learn, the potential. You wouldn't learn that if you're doing a book and you stick to your 2 + 2 = 4.
No.
It's just, you can't compare.
No, not at all.
And then back to homework. I might be wrong, but all I see regarding, like I know lots of schools don't send homework anymore. But still the majority of schools do send homework, and particularly homework that is totally meaningless. I think children spend 6 hours in school and 6 hours at home on an average day in primary school. If they're already doing 6 hours of schoolwork, why do they have to bring homework? That's exactly what they've been doing in school. It doesn't add anything extra.
No.
And it doesn't teach them any more. It actually has the opposite effect. Because it's going to make them hate school, because they make that connection of school with homework. They hate it. It means nothing to them. Why do I need to do this? If we don't, again, we talked about it in the other episode about the skincare. If I don't see the meaning, the why do I need to do this? I'm not going to want to do it.
Yeah. But also, what is the why for homework?
Well, exactly. But there's no why. Like, the why is for teachers and parents. For teachers, I guess it's because that's the way we've done it always. And that's the way it's done. But why?
Yeah.
Why?
It's our connection to the parents. It doesn't have to be.
No, send an email. Have more or not more meetings, but like more communication, more emails, more messages going back and forth.
Or if it needs to be homework, instead of being homework, why can't you set them a weekly project? If you're learning about the farm, why can't you send them home being like, for example, if we're doing the farm, can you go home and can you go to the shop and find 3 things that you'd find on a farm? Draw us a picture and come in and talk about it.
But that's the whole problem of homework. It's, that's another thing that some parents say, that it's the only way that they have to be aware or to know what they're doing in school. So otherwise they have no clue what's going on in school. They don't know, because we all know that if you ask your child what they did in school, they'll always say nothing.
Always nothing.
Because they're present. When they're in school, they're in school. When they leave school, that's past. So what did I do? I don't know. I'm not there now. So
I don't have to think about it.
Yeah. So first of all, there's no need to ask them a child, what did you do in school? Maybe something more specific. Did you have fun in school today? Or did you play with your friends in school? Don't ask open-ended questions, because they're not going to be able to answer them. Just more specific questions. Who did you sit with today? Or what was the best thing that you did today? Did you do any painting? If you see, paint on the clothes. Oh, I see you did yellow paint today. What did you paint with the yellow color? More specific questions. And then that might open. But ask them not just when they're just leaving school. The last thing they want to talk about is school. They're just leaving school. Just give them a break. And then when you go home and you have that quality time, that 5 minutes quality time with them, that's when you can bring it up. Oh, I saw yellow paint on your jumper. Were you painting with the yellow? Oh no, this child beside me, Jack, had a paintbrush and he painted my jumper. No. And then that'll bring up more things.
Also, don't get angry at that. That's okay.
No, don't get angry. Quality time. The only rule in quality time is we don't get angry.
No.
That's the only rule. And you can set that with your child. During quality time, we're not getting angry. Now, wait until quality time is finished.
Then you can have all the emotions.
But yeah, no, that really brings, and just knowing when to ask those questions. But back to homework. So if that's the only reason why, you know, like, just to know what's going on in school, then why not just sending a message during the week and say, you know, like I get an email saying this is the homework for the week. So instead of that, saying this is what we're working on this week. So I know what they're working on. So if I see anything related to it during our everyday life, I'll make a connection.
Yeah.
So if I know they're working the sounds H, C and M, for example, maybe I'll keep it in mind. And it's like, oh, this, you know, this word here, how can you read this? Or I'll, you know, when we're doing reading stories at night. So, but it's just the actual word homework is boring. Just the actual word homework.
They've
literally, like project, like you said, like a weekly project or weekly challenge or learning challenge or, you know, weekly goals. I don't know, something more exciting than the mystery of the week or something like that they're like, okay, let's do this, because they need that challenge. It's rewarding and they want to solve it and find information and share with their friends, not just copy and paste some words that means nothing and they're not even learning anything, and it's taking time away from either your quality time together or playing outside, which they absolutely need so much.
Always fresh air.
Always. And or after schools that they enjoy.
Yeah.
And then it adds stress to the daily routine in a family and fights. You have to do your homework. No, you have to do your homework. You can't do this until you do your homework. So when do kids, if they're doing a traditional system in the school and then they have to do homework and then they have to do 3 after schools, when do kids get to be kids?
They don't. It's very easy, I feel like, to just kind of keep going on to the next thing, because you feel like, oh, Sarah down the road, she's going to gymnastics and then she's going to swimming. What? Oh my God, my child isn't going to be able to swim if I don't put them in swimming lessons. Okay, so it has to go to swimming, although they have GAA on that day. Do they really want to do GAA? No, I think he wants to do rugby. And like your 5 days are done, and then as a parent, you put so much pressure on yourself as well, because you need to go, you need to pick them up from school, you need to feed them, you need to make sure the homework's done, you need to bring them to after school. Then you're like, oh, now I'm hungry, I haven't done anything. You need to make your dinner and then it's bedtime. Yeah.
And the problem is when they're older, I think what I discovered recently myself, because I'm more aware of the things that I do, more conscious about it. All I do every day is set priorities. We all have so many things to do, but what's the priority? You know, I need to do shopping, but I also need to record this podcast, but I also need to collect the kids, but I also need to go buy them a new jacket, but I also need, what's the priority? I'm not going to get to do everything every day.
Yeah.
So all I do is constantly problem solve and set priorities, and problem solve and set priorities, and problem solve and set priorities. And that's my job. Like every person, every adult's job, basically, if you think about it. Okay, I go to the shop and make decisions, constantly make decisions. So many times I'm like, where's my mom? I don't know. Even when you go to a restaurant, you have to decide what food you want. I'm like, no, I just want to enjoy my dinner. I don't know too many options.
Just give it to me. I don't know.
It's constantly making decisions. So these are the 3 skills that I think are really, really important to promote and provide as many experiences as possible. So they have really strong base to make decisions, to set priorities. And the other thing that I forgot.
Problem solve, to be said.
Problem solve, yes. So if we keep fitting so many activities and homework and everything into their schedules, when is their time? Where is the time for them to develop problem solving? But they're not solving any problems. Nope. They're just brought from one place to another and told what to do constantly. They making decisions. When do they decide anything? They're told what to do constantly.
The adult tells them where to go.
Where to go, what to do, how to do it. Play this way, make this jigsaw, play this video game, go to this after school, this in school, open the page, this place. You have to play with this person and this person. They're your friends. And you have to wear the party here and everything. Where's the decision making? And again, I forgot the other one.
Priorities.
Priorities. Set priorities. Obviously. How is a child going to be able to set priorities? Of course they can. Of course they can. Would you like to do this now or later? Would you like to brush your... They don't want to brush your teeth. Would you like to brush your teeth, or would you want me to help you brush your teeth? Or would you like to have dessert before, if they're watching a bit of TV before bedtime? You want to eat your dessert first, or you want to eat your... That's setting priorities and making decisions at the same time.
And I think also it's okay to ask your child if they want to do something.
Absolutely.
If they don't want to do it, you don't have to feel that guilt being like, oh, but we said we were going to do it here. That's okay. You can say no.
Yeah, absolutely. And then by having that time and developing those skills, they're more likely to be more successful and happier as adults. Less anxiety, less stress, less pressure. Just happy children.
Yeah. And I know sometimes with after school clubs, you kind of want to go to as many as they can to try and have that social aspect as well. But you're taking away from, say if you're in a state and loads of children go out and play on the green, you're taking away that time. Although right now they're probably like, oh, I don't want to go out there, I'm really scared. But if you leave them in front of that window looking out there for enough days, they're going to get up and they're going to walk out there and they're going to want to play with that football too.
Yeah.
Like there's such a difference between your school friends and your friends that you have in your estate. The friends you have in your estate, you just go out and you just do whatever everybody else is doing because you're doing it just to be with them. And this is a lot where the intergenerational scaffolding comes into it too, that they're not always with the same age group all the time constantly. If your child is say 6, they're going to go out and there's going to be a 10-year-old there. And that 10-year-old is going to have played games with their friends in school, which is going to then teach your child games, which is going to bring them into the yard in school. And they're learning more and more. And I think there's so much more impact from learning from a child than there is learning from an adult too, because this child has been through it. They know what they're talking about. They're close in age, but they're not that close that they have different...
relate to them differently.
Yeah, exactly. And this child has already lived through it. This child has already fell off that curb 7 times and they know that curb is always, you're always going to fall off that curb. So we're going to move over here. Or they know there's a really cool hole over here and it's really fun that we can slide down it and we can make a big mud pile in the end. Like it's being able to allow the children to find their own friends instead of being like, I want you to be friends with this group. I would like you to be friends with this group. Let them find their own people.
Yeah, and that's why doing after schools, it's important to a certain extent. So like we're doing after schools at home with my kids and they absolutely love it. And they chose what they want to do. Now they have to do something. Yeah, I'm very firm about that. They have to do something. And if they quit one, it's because they found this another one. Yeah. So they're doing 2 activities each and they have to do at least 1 each. But then they do lots of play. We're always playing outside when we're at home. And again, they do watch TV, obviously. But there's always that balance of 2 days a week we have after school. And after school that they do love. And then we'll make time because no one has time. We all have the same time. We all have 24 hours in a day. But you have to make the time for the things that are important and relevant and priorities to you and your children and your life. You have to make that time. And it takes effort, but it's worth it.
Absolutely. But I think, again, it's building that habit. Once you've created that habit, it just comes naturally as well. And once you know that you're not fighting with your child to get them all these places because they want to go, it makes it all so much more of a positive experience between you and them. And maybe when you're in the car going to these positive places and they're after schools, you can have your connection then to have that time where you're singing in the car, you're maybe reading a story in the car, you're just having a conversation and you get that emotional time where in case if something is happening, they're going to bring it up there because that's their safe space.
Yeah. And also because I have 2 kids, so when one is doing an after school, I'd use that one-on-one time with the other one. So we really enjoy that. That's so nice. The other one then is really looking forward that the other one, child 1 is looking forward that child 2 goes to an after school, so I have that one-on-one time. Yeah. And then vice versa. So that's really nice as well. But it's important for kids. Also, I think for us, why I want my kids to do after schools is for 2 reasons. One is because the movement, the exercise, being part of a social group, and also to have different friends than they would have in school. If anything happens in school, they don't have to rely on just those friends. I find sometimes we do things just so their friends, our friends, or that people like us. Yeah. But if we have other different groups, it's more likely that we'll be ourselves and we don't have to do things that we wouldn't do just so to like other, so other people like us.
You try on personalities with other people, and especially as a child, because if you move into a group, if there's 2 or 3 different people, they're all acting a certain way. So you're going to act that certain way to feel like you're part of it. Yeah. But when you come away from that, you get to get rid of that personality. You're like, I don't know if I like that anymore. And then you get to go find a personality, say, if you're doing dance, they would be obviously a lot more freeing. It's a lot more freeing.
They won't judge what I really like, or the way I move.
It's like almost like emotional expression. So I feel like there you would have a completely different way of thinking. You feel different, your emotions are different, how you react to people are different, and it's like having that outlet. So it's so nice to have those different groups that you can try on different personalities, and then your child gets to go, nope, I like that one. That's who I want to be.
Yeah, they build their identity like that. They have their personality, but their identity is built by their experiences and their social groups and everything that they do. So it's essential for their development. And to make that all easier, I find very important, especially when the kids are younger, but older as well, to have a visual routine at home where they can see, and even schedule things that we actually have a printable on the discoveryplaytime.ie website with just for maybe for younger kids, but we have a picture as well for play with mom time, play with dad time, whatever, depending on the family situation at home. But I think it's important as well that they see that there is time that they're going to get to play with you. So because like, see, you know, they do something and they'll be like, look at me, mommy, look at me, mommy, look at me. And I'm busy and I can't do what I'm trying to do properly. And I also can't give them the attention that they need. I feel very, very guilty because I'm failing at basically everything. They feel like I'm not listening to them. I don't care about them. Whatever. If I'm sending an email, I don't even know what I wrote on that email. So, you know, we have to be clear. And again, setting boundaries and saying, no, look, I'm doing this now. But you can see here after mommy's work finishes working or cooking or whatever he's doing, and you keep practicing what you're doing. You're trying so hard, just keep practicing. And then in 10 minutes, set a timer or whatever with Alexa. Maybe set a timer get them to set a timer with Alexa, I think something like that. Then they know and they can see in that visual routine that you have that quality time scheduled with them. So that's their chance then to then show you everything.
Yeah. And it's really nice to see that visual, to know what to expect then as well, so that there's no surprises throughout the day. So if they're going to school and they come home from school and they're like, oh, I'm so tired. And they look at their visual routine, they're like, okay, I'm not doing anything today. I get to go and I get to play for a few hours before mom's finished work. Yeah. They know to expect that. Or vice versa, if they're going to, say, football that day, they know, they're like, okay, I have a few minutes, I'm going to take my time, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to get ready for football. And they can get in the mind and the headspace.
Yeah, and even if you schedule free play, that's an instruction in itself. Whether if they, you know, that being bored, that the transition, I don't know what to do. But if they see here, it's free play, it's not as big and overwhelming as, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I'm so bored. It's like, okay, it's free play. It's actually not that I don't know what to do. It's my chance to create something. I can do anything I want within limits. So, you know, by having that schedule, it's just really important. And then it's also very good to involve them in deciding what activities they're going to do. And again, that decision making and priorities. Okay, you have to go to karate here. Do you want to have your snack before or after? And they can place the snack time before or after. So just make them, because when they have to do it and they'll come and they'll say, oh, I'm hungry, I want my snack. It's like, no, you put it after karate. So it has to be after karate. And it's consequences. You know, if they're hungry now, you're not saying, no, you can't have your snack because I say so.
Yeah.
It's a consequence. No, we decided that we're going to do it this way. Let's try it this way today. And then maybe tomorrow we can make changes. And they learn that. Like tomorrow it'll be like, okay, no, I'm going to put it before because I get too hungry. And then maybe I can split my snack. Then tomorrow they'll be like, okay, I'm only going to eat half. And then I'll leave the other half because I'm also really hungry after karate.
Yeah.
So it's that decision making, problem solving. Okay, I have a problem. I got really hungry before karate, and then the next day I have it before, and then I was really hungry after karate. So how can I fix it? Okay, I'll split my snack in two.
Yeah. And it's the making mistakes in there too. Like those are little teeny tiny mistakes that they've made, and instead of being like, oh, that's your problem, it's a situation of like, okay, that didn't go too well. How can I fix it? And it's okay to make mistakes, because unless we try, we're never going to know. If that child never puts a snack in any of the places, they're never going to know when it works better for them.
Yeah, totally. So it's so important. And these are, for me, the main skills that I'd want my children to develop. So I know when they're older, they're ready to go. They're like, Goodbye, kids.
18, kicked out. Bye.
You know, it just gives you the confidence as a parent as well to know that they're as safe as they can be in this world, that they'll know that if there is a problem, they have a creative mind to think outside the box and come up with a solution. And if something goes wrong or differently, they'll have the resilience to not give up and just keep trying different ways, and that they have the confidence as well to know that something going wrong doesn't mean they're not able to do it or they're not good enough. It means that the situation just went differently than what they had expected or anticipated, but there are other ways to do it. So it all adds up, and it starts now. It's like applying that face cream early. So, you know, you don't look too old when you're old. Sorry. It's like, I went to this session the other day, and she said she was older than she was because she said she wants to look younger than she is.
Stop it.
She's like, I'm 50, but she's actually 40. But if she says I'm 50, you'll be like, oh, you look so good. Yeah. She's like, I love that.
It's so funny.
I thought it was brilliant. So yeah, it's the time to start playing and having quality time experiences and build the trust to have the happy, confident and resilient and creative adults that we want to raise starts now.
Take your one small step. Take your 1 minute. Plan your 1 minute in your day and keep building.
Yeah. No, it's just so worth it. So thank you for listening, and thank you, Shannon, for your wisdom. It's always so nice chatting to you.
Woohoo!
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to share your own story on our podcast, please get in touch through our social media. Don't forget to like, share and follow so you'll never miss out on upcoming episodes. See you next time!